I'm Shaina. I love dogs, I trip a lot, and I happen to have a knack for making pretty sweet videos for businesses. But the more videos we made, the more questions I got about how video and other content can be leveraged to make a bigger impact in their marketing. I mean, 44% of marketers say that producing content is their biggest challenge, yet content marketing is 62% less expensive than outbound and produces 3 times more leads. Now, I know a lot, but I certainly don't know it all, so I made it my mission to talk with content kings, queens, and bosses to learn as much as I could about crushing content marketing, and I'm taking you along with me. Welcome to the Content Coalition.
So today we've got Josh Marsden, and he's going to tell you how to make your podcast work and help with anything e-commerce related. So I'm super excited because we haven't really talked about that
I'm pumped.
yet.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So just first things first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a single dad, and I started my business because a company gave me an ultimatum and said that in order for me to stay at the company, I would have to change my schedule with my son, and I'd have to put in extra hours, basically, and lose hours with my son. And I just wasn't okay with that. And so I dove into entrepreneurship. I went all in. I didn't go half in, half out. You know, a lot of people, when they start their businesses, they're typically like trying to do it while they're working full time. I didn't take that approach. I just dove in and just said, I'm going to do this.
That must have been terrifying.
Not really.
No?
I mean, for a lot of people it probably is.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really terrified. I was just so fired up.
Good.
Like
That's
I
awesome.
was like determined to make it happen, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me.
Yeah.
And I just used all sorts of different like sources of motivation for that first, especially 12 months. And I just was like angry almost. I was angry at a lot of different things, and I just channeled it into like building my business and getting like basically getting started and then building from there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell us about your business then.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CVO Acceleration, online sales funnels. We focus on e-commerce companies. We help them with Facebook ads and also sales funnel build outs. So we're very, client-centric, and we really build like long-term relationships with e-commerce companies that want to utilize us to grow and do better when it comes to Facebook advertising and, generating profits, getting results out of Facebook ads. And then if they need sales funnels because they don't have them, because a lot of e-commerce companies don't even know what those are.
Right. Crazy, huh?
Then we help, I know.
Yeah.
So we help them like be able to implement that. So this way they don't depend on their website for the low conversions that a website typically does.
Right. So I know that this may seem like a weird disconnect, like we're talking e-commerce on a podcaster's podcast, right? But we talked yesterday about how a podcast can help leverage your business online. So what do you think about that?
Well, so here's the thing. So e-commerce companies have such a hard time with brand.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Brand marketing, brand message, just marketing in general. They typically aren't marketers at all.
Right.
And they don't know like how to really figure out how to communicate their brand story.
Yeah.
And a podcast is a huge channel.
Sure.
And it's an easy channel, really.
Yeah.
Because like it's not like, video production is a little more challenging, although video is powerful.
Yeah.
But audio, you just put yourself on a mic, talk about, your brand, talk about some sort of relevant topic that's related to your products. And you can easily like put together some sort of content marketing strategy around a podcast, and then you can deliver it to all these different distribution channels to be able to get traffic coming into your business as an e-commerce company. So, podcasting's super powerful for e-commerce or any other type of company.
Yeah.
And, you shouldn't neglect it because, podcasting is on the rise, as we know.
Right. That's why we're here.
Right. I know. Totally.
Hey, guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, podcasting's on the rise,
Yeah.
and it's continuing to be on the rise because, you've got CarPlay going into, cars now where you can integrate, your Apple phone.
Yeah.
You've got different distribution channels like emerging all the time. I mean, like you've got iTunes, you've got SoundCloud, you've got Stitcher, et cetera, so you've got all these different channels to get your content out there. So podcasting is powerful, and it's also fairly easy. I don't want to say easy, but fairly easy.
Yeah.
It's approachable
Sure.
to be able to create content around using a podcast channel.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to say it's entry level, but like anybody can really do it. It's not expensive,
Right.
I mean, you can get started in your closet, really. Yeah, and what I find interesting is a lot of e-commerce, like people who are doing e-commerce maybe well, but not to the best of their ability, are just like, here's the product.
Right.
This is the product. This is why the product's awesome.
Right.
And the backstory, I feel like, is huge, and people don't utilize it.
I know. Yeah. I've got a few coaching clients, and one of them in particular, this makes me think about him because he just doesn't know how to articulate like the deep value, like the emotional impact of his product. And I've had to coach him on that.
Yeah.
And it just goes into what you're saying, that a lot of times e-commerce companies just think about the product, they think about the features, and they keep it very kind of light on how they describe features and benefits, and you really got to go deep when it comes to messaging in your marketing.
Yeah.
And I've been coaching him in particular on going deep and creating that deep emotional response, and e-commerce companies just don't really, they have a hard time with that. Yeah.
Well, it's just so crazy because like podcast listeners are sticky. Like they invite you into their lives for 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time, right? So that's like the ultimate customer, because then they become like hardcore fans and they'll buy whatever you're selling them.
Right.
I mean, if they're that invested in you, in your voice, right? Or video or whatever.
Right.
So it almost seems like a no-brainer to me.
Totally.
So who right now, as an e-commerce company, is doing it right or doing it well? Do you know anybody that you can use that as an example?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't really keep up too much on podcasting these days.
Yeah.
Like as far as like content, you know, shows, episodes and stuff like that. I mean, years ago when I was starting, I definitely dove into, you know, really consuming a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know, like Entrepreneur on Fire, you know, a bunch of others.
Sure.
So I can't really think of anybody that's really like producing a channel that's in e-commerce, doing it effectively. If anything, that's a good thing. If anything, it means that there's a huge opportunity for an e-commerce company to actually take that medium and use it, because there's not a lot of competition with e-commerce companies on that medium.
For sure. I mean, the only one that really blows my mind up is Bulletproof.
Yeah. Well, Bulletproof's awesome.
Right? And I mean, and you get so much value and information out of the podcast. I mean, it was funny. I interviewed Russ and Mika Perry, and they were like, we had to stop listening to the podcast because we felt like everything we were doing in our lives was horrible and unhealthy, because every time he'd have something awesome to tell us. Right. And like, they're like, I'm drinking the wrong coffee, or I shouldn't, you know, it was just, but like, then he dives into his product. So it's like, it's such a smart segue into it.
Yeah. Actually, you know, that's actually a good example. Like for e-commerce companies watching this, they should honestly tune into Bulletproof Radio, listen to what Dave Asprey's doing, and think about how they can do the same thing for their own e-commerce business.
Listen to how he's, you know, promoting the products, listen to how he's like creating his actual episodes. I mean, what the funnel looks like. Everybody says that if you want to go and see how your competitors are doing, go and do what like their process. Go through it. Why not? It's worth the investment at that point.
Funnel hack, emulate what's working for your competitors, or not even competitors, just companies out there that are selling, you know, physical products. And just, you know, if you see someone that is successful, you know, see what they're doing and see what you can essentially copy without directly copying. Like copy the idea.
Yeah, you don't want to be an
but
asshole about it.
No, of course.
Right.
Yeah, add your own pizzazz to it. Add your own message to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to learn from Bulletproof Radio and Dave Asprey, because, I mean, his business is kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay,
Heck
cool.
yeah. This is not a children's show.
Okay, good.
I mean, I'm sure they're adorable children podcasters, but we're not really talking to them.
Good. Okay, good. Okay.
The big boys.
Sounds good.
And girls. Because rah-rah. So is there anything else that you think that either businesses who haven't embarked on podcasting or existing podcasters who want to leverage it in another way should know? Like any gem of knowledge that you want to share with these guys?
Yeah, you know, I mean, just when you approach podcasting, have a good business plan behind it. Have it as a part of your overall funnel strategy.
Totally.
You know, because I've seen this time and time again, because I've been around podcasters, because I actually did have a podcast. It's still up on iTunes, Build Your Utopia. And we interviewed like Ryan Dice, Ryan Levesque. I always mention the Ryans first for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Shannon Hernandez, he talked about him yesterday.
Yes,
we love Shannon.
Yes, Shannon Hernandez. A bunch of John Lee Dumas, a bunch of other heavy hitters. They committed to this, and it was about work-life balance.
Yeah.
But what I learned by being in the podcasting community is that everybody like thinks that just starting a podcast, you're going to make money.
Yeah.
And no, it's all it is just traffic into a funnel. And so you have to have a good strategy, you know, on top of your podcast. So the podcast is just that content and that traffic that's going to go into whatever offer you're promoting on your podcast. So you really want to put a lot of like, you know, attention and thought into like what your strategy is, what your offer is going to be on your podcast, you know, what's the next offer you're going to promote, you know, to that person and so forth, and have that entire process, that funnel systematized, built out, whether you're using Infusionsoft or Klaviyo or ActiveCampaign or whatever, but have that entire process built out. This way you see the ROI from doing a podcast, because otherwise it's just content you're putting out there that doesn't do anything. Yeah. But if you have it as a part of like an overall funnel strategy, which I can help you with, that's where you can see the true ROI from using a podcast, and it can be very powerful, as we've seen with like Bulletproof Radio.
Right.
And I'm sure there's plenty of other examples out there.
Yeah. Because people are asking all the time, how do I monetize? How do I monetize?
Right.
Well, you have something greater that you're, podcast to funnel.
Right.
Podcast to funnel, yes. Yeah, I like it.
Love
all right.
Love it.
Cool. So thank you so much.
Sure.
I know usually I ask what podcast you're listening to, but you said you haven't really been lately, and that's totally
there's a
fine.
few I still listen to a little
Which
bit here
ones?
and there. Perpetual Traffic is
Yeah.
really good with Molly Pittman and Ralph Burns and Keith Krantz. They're awesome.
Cool.
Bulletproof Radio I listen to. The Model Health Show is pretty awesome as well.
Awesome.
There's a few others I dabble in.
Gotcha.
From time to time.
Gotcha. All I'm hearing is this. I'm hearing you, but I'm hearing the Boom Clash song. We're at Traffic and Conversion if we haven't mentioned that yet. There's like a party going on behind us.
Yep.
Well, cool. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Sure. Well, I'll just give you my email first off. Just go to email me at josh@CVO Excel. So CVO Excel, ACCEL.com. And you can get in touch with me, and my assistant also, answers some of my emails. And if we're a good fit for each other, great. If not, I'll still provide a ton of value and impact and help you with whatever challenge you're faced with when it comes to generating results in your e-commerce business using funnels or podcasting. Basically the entire funnel process I can help you out with.
I think that you're valuable on social too. Like I like seeing what you post. So where can they find you on social?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I love my Instagram. Like it's kind of like my personal channel, but it's also the brand,
Right.
And so I'm representing my brand on there, and I try to put out valuable content and good messaging and motivational stuff, and at the same time tips and tactics and things like that. So Instagram, Joshua A. Marsden. I know.
I like that.
Just go ahead and, or if you just look for CVO Acceleration on Instagram, you should be able to find me. So
cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great,
I
and we will
appreciate it.
see you guys next week.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Content Coalition. Now, whether you're listening or watching, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to whatever platform you're listening to it on, because you're not going to want to miss out on the incredible things that I'm learning with these amazing content marketing pros. So make sure you subscribe, and we will talk to you next week.